lot of them pint bottles out granny crib. I poured so much I ain't want to live. Told money then, shit, we in the wind. I was in the hood when I clipped the bin. Since a young nigga, I been ready. Went glass house on every Chevy. In this game, I tried plenty settings. It's all or nothing. How niggas been. Got sucker niggas, keep suckers with them. One of the reasons I ain't fucking with them. Trish Tech and some more than her. Guess she couldn't even afford a winner. I'm open late, don't need a scale, and it's always over. Sneak wishing well. I double down, slick shit to spell. Shawty no, I don't kiss and tell. I'm faded, 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 faded. I'm faded, 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 faded. I'm faded, 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 faded. I'm faded, 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 faded.
Alright. Let me see, chat. Let me see.
Welcome to the greatest damn show on YouTube.
Alright. Sound about right.
Welcome to the greatest damn show on YouTube.
What it do, la? What going on, man? Double tap the screen, shut a live out, man. Double tap the screen, shut a live out, man. What we got going on, man? Oh, man. Double tap the screen, shut a live out. Shut a live out, chat. Double tap the screen, shut a live out, man. What we doing today is happy Thanksgiving today, man. We got the Thanksgiving episode, man. They say 2 service members have been shot outside the White House. They got former intelligence suspect in custody. We're going to talk about Trump snubbing the G20. We got an action-packed episode, man. Y'all double tap the screen and share the live out, man. Y'all double tap the screen, share the live out. I'm going to wait until some people get in here. Hold on. Let me see. Let me get to it. All right, man. We got a couple clips, man, before we get into the we got a couple miscellaneous clips. What do I got right here? Oh, we got Thanksgiving. They saying Costco is straight up Hunger Games with the rotisserie chicken prizes. A lady just got 15 rotisserie chickens, like the apocalypse is starting tomorrow. Also, we got the honey baked ham, man. They said people had a 4-hour line at the honey baked ham. I got a little experience with the honey baked ham. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know what I'm saying? I got a little experience with that. So I'm gonna tell y'all my experience with the honey baked ham and what else is it? We got Jasmine Crockett coming at We got Jasmine Crockett coming at Donald's, man. What is it, Byron? Yeah, Byron Donald's, man. We got her coming at him. No Diddy, and we're gonna get into that as well. And we're gonna talk about the DC shooting update. I think Nick Shirley interviewed a woman that escaped from North Korea too. So if we got some time, we'll get into that as well. Nick Shirley interviewed a woman that escaped from North Korea. So let's get straight into it, man. They're saying the Afghan suspect in the D.C. shooting of the 2 National Guardsmen, they said he served in the CIA-backed Qadar Strike Force, NDS-03, an elite Black Ops unit conducting assassinations and raids along the U.S. Special Forces. So let's just break this down. We have a guy that served in the CIA-backed Qadar Strike Force driving from Washington State all the way across country to DC with a 6-shot, what was it, a .357 revolver, jumps out and shoots 2 National Guard service members that had just got inducted. They had just got in yesterday or a couple days ago. Like, let's break this down, man. This is crazy. And they talking about they're investigating it as terrorism. They're allegedly saying he shouted Allah Akbar. I don't know, man. Let's get into it, man. It says November 26, 2025, the day before Thanksgiving. Oh, and they said that just like with the Charlie Kirk shooter, his name, this, what's the guy's name? Romanala Lockenwall. They said that his name was showing spikes on the Google searches as well. 6 days prior to the attack, they had a couple searches for his name, and the hours leading up to the attack, they had a huge spike in how many people were searching this guy's name, or how many searches came for this guy's name hours before the shooting. So I think that's weird as well. It's saying November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, 2 service members of the West Virginia National Guard were shot broad daylight near the White House in downtown Washington, D.C. The victims, both in their early 30s, dressed in civilian clothes while on duty, were ambushed around 2 p.m. local time. They were rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition, with one sustaining multiple gunshot wounds to the torso and the other to the leg. The attack has been described by authorities as a targeted ambush, prompting immediate lockdown of federal buildings in the area and massive FBI-led manhunt. President Donald Trump condemned the shooting as an act of evil, vowing swift justice. It's crazy. It says he faces federal charges including 2 counts of attempted unaliving of a federal officer and potential terrorism enhancements as the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force probes possible ideological motives tied to the U.S. To anti-U.S. sentiments or radicalization post-Afghan withdrawal. They said, witnesses are saying he screamed Allah Akbar. I don't know. They're saying he's an Afghani national. They said he had no prior U.S. criminal record, but was reportedly connected to an ongoing gun investigation in Washington state, raising questions about how he obtained the semi-automatic pistol in the shooting. In the immediate aftermath, the U.S. government announced an indefinite suspension of all immigration processing for Afghan nationals, including visa, asylum claims, and special immigrant visas. This move, cited as necessary for a thorough reassessment of the security and vetting procedures, affects thousands of pending applications and has drawn sharp criticism from immigrants' rights group while inciting support from figures like Randy Fine. Yeah, this is crazy. So they put a travel ban. Well, they put an immigration ban on that's crazy. They put an immigration ban. What are they saying? Visas, asylum claim, and special immigrant visas, man. Suspension, indefinite suspension on immigration processing for Afghan nationals. All right, so about this dude, man. The dude that says Lakanwal was born in 1996 in Kandahar Province, Afghanistan. He entered the United States September 2021 as part of Operation Allies. They said the Biden administration mass evacuation effort following the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in August 2021. He was granted refugee status under the SIV program designed for Afghan interpreters and contractors who aided U.S. forces. At the time of his arrival, Lakanwal was 25 and resettled in Virginia, where he reportedly worked odd jobs in construction while pursuing English classes and community college courses. What stunned investigators, fueled intense media scrutiny, is Lakanwal's prior service with the U.S.-backed Afghan forces. The CIA publicly confirmed on the 27th, which is today, that he had worked for multiple U.S. government entities during the war, including joint operations in Kandahar. Specifically, Lakanwal served as a junior operative in the Kandahar Strike Force, also known as NDS-03, from around 2018 to 2021. His role involved logistic support and reconnaissance for high-risk missions, earning him commendations from U.S. handlers for bravery under fire. Despite this, associates described him as increasingly disillusioned after the Taliban's rapid takeover, citing feelings of abandonment by the U.S. as a potential factor in his radicalization. That's crazy. My camera just died, chat. That's crazy. My camera just died. What? No way. My camera just died. Hold on, chat, while I get the camera together, man. Let me see who in here. Double tap the screen, shut a live out. Man, this is crazy. Be sure to double tap the screen and shut a live out. I'm going to get the camera back up. It says the Kandahar Strike Force, NDS-03, a shadowy CIA proxy in the Afghan war. The Kandahar Strike Force, or KSF, was one of several elite paramilitary units under Afghanistan's National Directorate of Security, NDS, the country's intelligence agency, established around 2015 as part of the CIA's broader counterterrorism strategy. These strike forces were designed to conduct deniable operations in Taliban strongholds, filling gaps left by overstretched U.S. Special Forces. NDS-03 operated primarily in Kandahar and surrounding southern provinces, a Taliban birthplace and one of the world's most volatile regions. Structure and training, numbering about 200 to 300 fighters at its peak, the KSF was handpicked from local Pashtun militias and trained by CIA paramilitary officers and U.S. Green Berets at bases like Camp Nathan Hale and Kandahar. I'm not gonna lie, these dudes not bullshitting, Chad. These dudes might not be bullshitting, bruh. They might not be bullshitting. It says it was 200 to 300 fighters at peak strength. They were handpicked from local Pashtun militias and trained by CIA paramilitary officers and U.S. Green Berets at bases like Camp Nathan Hale in Kandahar. Yeah, they might not be bullshitting, Chad. I'm just gonna keep it all the way real. This dude might not be bullshitting. I don't know how they just let him in the country and did nobody know what was going on, man. Well, they did know because they let him over here as an SIV. They did know, so because they let him over here as an SIV. It says members receive advanced instruction in small unit tactics, surveillance, and improvised explosives disposal. They operated under nominal NDS oversight but reported directly to the CIA case officers, allowing for plausible deniability and controversial actions. Now y'all see what's going on? Allowing for plausible deniability and certain controversial actions, man. I'm not trying to lead y'all down nowhere, but listen, man, y'all got to do your own research, man. This dude was, they said this group operated under nominal NDS oversight, but reported directly to the CIA case officers, allowing for plausible deniability and controversial actions, allegedly. Man, I'm trying to get my camera back on, chat. That's crazy. It says, the unit specialized in black ops, night raids, targeted assassinations of Taliban commanders, raids on insurgent safe houses. They often embedded with U.S. Delta Force or SEAL teams for joint operations, providing cultural intelligence and Pashto speaking interpreters. From 2017 to 2021, KSF units were credited with neutralizing over 500 high value targets. Man, they put down 500 people in 1,000 days, man. A little over 1,000 days, they put down 500 high value targets, including key figures in the Haqqani network. A typical mission might involve a helicopter insertion at midnight, followed by a cordon and search of a compound with any resistance met by lethal force. So they saying these guys do missions. They might involve a helicopter, might involve searching a compound. Anybody trying to get in the way of that might be met with lethal force, man. Yeah, these dudes wasn't bullshitting. I'm just gonna keep it real. They wasn't bullshitting. It says funded through the CIA black budgets, estimated $500 million annually across all Afghan militias. The KSF received U.S.-made weapons like M4 carbines, night vision goggles, and even armed drones for Overwatch. This made them one of the most effective anti-Taliban assets in the South, but also a magnet for retaliation. Dozens of KSF members were unalived in ambushes. I didn't know it was this deep, bro. I didn't know this dude was. It sounds like this dude and the people he was around, like the KSF, the 200 to 300 members. It sounds like they were, you know, they might have been elite level, bro. Like not, I mean, they got elite level training at least, because they were handpicked. It was only 200 to 300 of them. So they're militias out there. There's probably a few thousand people in these militias. They handpicked 200 to 300 of them to come over here and get trained by by CIA, get trained by U.S. Green Berets. They're working alongside SEALs, and they are given plausible deniability. You know, after we withdrew from Afghanistan, they felt abandoned. A lot of them felt abandoned. You know what I'm saying? They felt like, damn, we're getting targeted now for all this retaliation. Y'all abandoned us. So some of them started coming over here, but the sentiment, they might have still felt this guy might have still felt played, man. He might have still felt like he didn't get what he needed to get. But back into it, chat. It says controversies and abuses. The KSF record is marred by allegations of war crimes, drawing parallels to CIA-backed militias and other conflicts, like the Iraq Counterterrorism Service. Human Rights Watch documented at least 14 abusive night raids between 2017 and 2019, where KSF operatives unalived 51 civilians, including women and children, often mistaking locals for insurgents, or executing suspects extrajudicially. One 2013 incident involved KSF beating a Kandahar University student, prompting Afghan President Hamid Karzai to publicly rebuke the U.S. Critics, including The Intercept, labeled them as Afghan death squads, arguing the CIA's lax oversight fostered a culture of impunity to prioritize results over accountability. Post-withdrawal, many KSF survivors like Lankwar faced death threats from the Taliban, justifying their SIV eligibility, but the program rushed vetting. Processing over 76,000 Afghans in months has been blamed for overlooking red flags. So, yeah, that's crazy. It says Lankwar's case exposes fractures in the U.S. refugee vetting for wartime allies. While SIV recipients undergo FBI background checks, the chaos of the 2021 evacuation limited depth. Oh, I'm waiting on this camera to charge. It's not even charging, bruh. It's not even charging. That's crazy. It said all right, let me start over. It says, while the SIV recipients undergo FBI background checks, the chaos of the 2021 evacuation limited depth, especially for paramilitary figures with classified histories. On X, discussions have exploded with over 100,000 posts, 24 hours, blending security fears. All right, man. Yeah, that's crazy, man. This guy, we're going to get into this clip right here, and then we're going to get into that G20. We're going to talk about what Trump not showing up to the G20 actually means. Let's get into this clip while my camera comes back on. Y'all be sure to double tap the screen. Happy Thanksgiving.
The FBI to review his immigration history and the vetting process itself. What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital. As we stand here today, the charges that are appropriate right now are 3 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed, a violation of DC Code 22-401 and DC Code 22-4502. He will also be charged with possession of a firearm during a crime of violence. He faces 15 years under the assault with the intent to kill. We intend to continue monitoring what the charges will be, depending upon the well-being of the guardsmen. We are praying that they survive and that the highest charge will not have to be murder in the first degree. But make no mistake, if they do not, that will certainly be the charge, murder in the first degree. The Department of Justice under Attorney...
So where are the terrorism charges, man? This dude is like a sleeper cell. He's sitting in here, man. What are we talking about? He traveled cross country because he didn't have an AR, because he had a 357. We not just go. If he had an AR, they would be pushing this as terrorism right now. But because he has a 357, they're just bypassing all of this special forces stuff and saying, well, he had a 357. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he had a big AR M4 or something. Plug, chill out, plug.
Attorney General Pam Bondi is committed to a thorough and an impartial investigation where we will hold this perpetrator accountable under the full weight of the law. Now, Sarah and Andrew volunteered. They came here to protect the people of the district, pursuant to a crime emergency that President Trump rightly declared in this city and in other cities across the country. Our nation's capital should not and must not be a place where evil comes to commit violence, whatever their cause or motive may be. We should not have to live in fear in the nation's capital, especially by one who came here from a foreign country. Through a process that was so absurd that he came through and released into this country, as many were, knowing virtually nothing about his vetting. What happens in this country when people are allowed in who are not properly vetted? These guardsmen and all who are here to protect the district.
This happened yesterday around 2 p.m. We're going to get into the other stuff too, because the guy that did it had a similar situation to the Charlie Kirk thing. His name spiked. He came from Washington State, but they said his name was spiking in the Google searches in the early hours of the morning before the attack happened. The attack happened at 2 p.m. But they said his name was already spiking in the trend search, in the Google trend searches, in the hours leading up to that, like in the early hours of the morning. And his name was popping up 6 days prior, but it was only like 2 or 3 searches. But in the early hours, it was like a huge spike in searches, like hours before he did this.
Are the line that separates a civilized society from a barbaric one. They are the ones who stand for law and order. It was not just an attack. It was a direct challenge to law and order in our nation's capital. And the individual will be made fully accountable. And though it seems that we have been here before under President Trump, make no mistake, and the Attorney General, we will not allow...
They are questioning how he got the gun. He was already had a weapon. He was going through something for weapons while this happened. So they're asking how he got the gun, because he already had some stuff going on in Washington State to where he wasn't supposed to have a gun. But again, like I said, he had a .357. So this would be they wouldn't be talking about just some terroristic acts, or I mean not terroristic acts, but shooting assault or whatever 15 years if he had an AR. If he had an AR, they were trying to give this man the chair. They would be trying to give this man the chair off the rip. They would say they would be trying to get this dude out of here. He would have went straight to death row had he had an AR. But because he had a 6-shooter, I guess they're just, saying forget everything else. But they did kick in his door in Washington State. They took all of his devices and everything. They also said he had some links to San Diego. I think they conducted raids in San Diego and Washington State as well.
Allow this to be normalized. It will be confronted, condemned, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, my message to the individual who committed these acts is you picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you will be sorry for the violence and the evil that you perpetrated in our nation's capital. And now I call upon the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thanks, Judge. I'll begin my remarks and end my remarks the same way, with prayer.
Man, I'm going to keep it real. This is the first time I have seen Kash Patel not look booted the fuck up off of coke, allegedly. This is literally the first time I've seen Kash Patel look like he just got regular eyes. Is he tired? Like, does he take a lot of pre-workout or something? He might be just booted up off of pre-workout. I don't know.
Our fallen soldiers, for our law enforcement community, prayer for our National Guardsmen and women, prayer for our brave prosecutors at the Department of Justice and the offices of the D.C. United States Attorney. We must come together as a nation, especially on this Thanksgiving Day, and remember the sacrifices that so many are making around the world and around this country to secure our freedoms under President Trump's brilliant leadership and administration. I'll provide an update on the case as follows. It is an ongoing investigation of terrorism. Make no mistake about it. The FBI is leading out on this federal assault on a federal law enforcement officer investigation on many fronts. We immediately, with our law enforcement partners in the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, secured the scene, seized the weapon, sent in our evidence response team immediately to collect evidence and started doing block by block canvasses. We are looking for and interviewing witnesses. The firearm and other materials have been sent to our Quantico laboratory already yesterday for immediate analysis. That work is ongoing. Partnering with the DC United States Attorney's Office, we have also executed multiple search warrants around the country to include the subject's last known residence, which is in the state of Washington. The search warrant was executed on that house last night.
So that's where they're saying he traveled cross country. So how many times is this going to happen? Like, everything is happening before GTA even comes out. We had the guy drive across country, walk into the NFL headquarters with the damn, what did he have? An M4, whatever kind of AR he had. I think he had a damn M4. He walks into the NFL headquarters after he just drove across damn country and just starts shooting up the place, walks in the elevator. Now we got this guy drives across country with a 357 and just shows up outside, and he ends up shooting 2 service members that had just got inducted. They had just made it in. Now, I think they said it was like day 1 or day 2. Like, this is like their second day on the damn job, man. Come on, Chad. Come on, man.
Early this morning, and it is an ongoing process. All the individuals found in the house have been interviewed, and some interviews remain ongoing. We will not stop until we interview anyone and everyone associated with the subject, the house, and every piece of his life. There's also subject interviews, relations conducted in San Diego, pursuant to our ongoing investigation. So, as the judge noted, this is a coast-to-coast investigation being led right here in Washington, D.C. And this subject definitely did pick the wrong country. And we will rise together as a nation to show the world what we do here. And we are thankful that we have the Attorney General's brave leadership and President Trump's brave leadership and priorities to safeguard our communities. I also spoke to Director of the CIA, John.
Adam Harvey said reported and blocked. Get the fuck out, Adam Harvey. Come back on another account you hating. Man, let me get Adam Harvey up out of here, man. Y'all double tap the screen. The camera finna come back on, chat.
Last night, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. That is what a broad-based international terrorism investigation looks like. We will provide continuous details to the American public while at the same time not jeopardizing the ongoing prosecution to ultimately hold this perpetrator.
You said I don't like free speech. JB, your ass on a one-way ticket up out of here too. This dude came here on my channel saying reported and blocked, and then I kicked him out of here because he said reported and blocked. And then you want to take up for him saying I don't like a free speech? What's wrong with y'all, man? It's Thanksgiving, man. Be happy. Be grateful, man.
In our courts of law. We will provide as much transparency as possible, but as you can see, the breadth...
The guy pictured here is me. The guy pictured here is me, the host of the show. My camera is charging right now. Once my camera gets charged, I'm going to come back on camera. So the black guy you see at the bottom of the screen, that's the host. That's Plug. Double tap the screen, share the live out. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're around your family for Thanksgiving, be sure to show them this channel.
Of this investigation will continue. We will continue to hit the streets and hit every town and every house and talk to every witness. The men and women of the FBI and the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency to include the Department of Homeland Security, DEA, and ATF are working tirelessly on this Thanksgiving Day. And I know just by talking to the leaders behind me that instead of going on and being with their families, everyone rogered up and showed up to work today. And none of them want to go home. That's the resolve that we have together as a team to bring to you justice for this heinous act of terrorism here in our nation's capital. And as the judge said, we will ensure that our law enforcement partners are out there in full force to make sure the world can enjoy our nation's capital. We will not let this heinous act of violence prevent people from visiting our beautiful nation's capital. And we will also continue to highlight any evidence that we can publicly.
Let me get back on camera. They think I'm the one, I'm the damn suspect.
For one reason and one reason alone. Because of the disastrous withdrawal from the Biden administration and the failure to vet in any way, shape, or form, this individual and countless others And this administration has taken the rightful step to stop any further
Thank you, Asha.
allowance of people with this similar background into the country, and we're thankful for that. And as I said, this investigation remains ongoing, and I think I'll turn it over to General Blanchard of the National Guard now. Thank you.
All across America this morning, families are waking up. They'll spend the day with their children, their sisters, husbands, wives, friends from across the community. There will be the smell of turkey, all the fixings. They'll watch parades, football games. They'll pray together. They'll talk about what they're grateful for. There are two families.
OG Powell, they saying he came in 2021 under the Biden administration. What you mean Trump gave him asylum? They said this guy came in 2021.
Families that will not have that opportunity. Andy and Sarah's families, they're spending the day reflecting on the past, and in the days coming, they'll reflect on and think about what could have been, what might be. Because regardless of the outcome, we know that their lives, their families' lives are all changed forever. One person decided to do this horrific and evil thing. And all across America, we are also reminded that there are many law enforcement agents, first responders, soldiers, service members all around the world.
So we're going to do the fact check right quick. OG Powell saying that Trump gave this guy asylum in April 2025. They're saying he was let in 2021 under the Biden administration's vetting process, and now OG Powell is saying do your research. They gave this guy asylum. So I'm going to do the research right quick.
We'll come home from cold turkey, open up Tupperware, eat what's left over, because they spent the day defending the American ideals and getting after it on every American citizen's behalf.
So it's saying that, yes, the shooter was granted asylum in 2025. He applied for asylum in December 2024 and was approved on April 23rd, 2025, 3 months after the Trump inauguration. This came after his initial entry into the U.S. in September 2021 as a refugee under Operation Allies Welcome, the Biden-era program for Afghan allies. So yes, this is on both administrations' hands for this guy getting in and this guy getting asylum.
I will say that the District of Columbia National Guard, this task force, are committed this morning to the President's directive to make D.C. safe and beautiful. Resolve will be tested. It is being tested. But make no mistake, each and every one of these soldiers and airmen need the expectation that we have for them.
Oh, the shooter, the shooter's name is, I know I'm butchering it, is Ramanullah Lockenwall. Ramanullah Lockenwall is how I would pronounce it. I know I'm butchering it.
In fact, America's best. I'm proud of each and every one of them. Pray for each and every one of them today, and in particular for these two young service members who are willing to go above and beyond.
So everybody who's saying that's not true, about he applied in December and was granted asylum in April, I got ABC News, Reuters, Cato Institute, ABC, The Guardian, saying earlier this year. So yeah, he got it, and most places are saying it's all the sources are saying it's like 12 sources saying he was granted that in this year in 2025. He applied in December and was granted asylum in in April.
And pay whatever price our nation has to them. I ask every American today to keep them in their thoughts and prayers as you go about your day. Thank you.
Mayor, where's Mayor Bowser? Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I want to associate myself with the remarks of our Adjutant General from the D.C. National Guard. I want to be very clear what the judge and everyone has reported here. Somebody drove across the country, came to Washington, D.C. to attack America.
So now she's out. Yeah, she's the mayor, but she doesn't have to deal with it too much. She's not running for re-election, so I don't know when her last day will be. When is her last day going to be? Because she says she's not running for re-election.
And a person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These young people...
The soldiers did not pass away. They are critical. The soldiers are critical.
Be at home in West Virginia with their families.
I also want to say that both Sarah and Andrew, I believe, were sworn in less than 24 hours.
Not even a day on the job. Sworn in less than 24 hours. So we got this guy who's ex KDS, ex damn Black Ops. Let's just be real, man. Ex Black Ops. They trained by CIA. Allegedly, trained by U.S. Green Berets, allegedly. He's over here in the country. He's pissed off with the way the Afghan withdrawal left. He has money on his head, death threats coming from the Taliban. Like they want these guys out of here. He gets asylum, comes over here. Now he drives across country with a 357 after his name is being pinged in all of these searches allegedly early this morning, and he shoots two National Guard plain clothes. They were in plain clothes service members that weren't even on the job 24 hours. And the whole unit that these guys come from allegedly was to carry out assassinations and operations and have plausible deniability. Crazy.
Or they were shot on the street in Washington. As the director has indicated, this is a fluid investigation. People are working around the clock. It's too soon to say what the motive is, but there are definitely areas that we're looking into, but not ready to say.
Damn, I linked the wrong way,
Yeah,
Chad. Y'all just watch me roll up.
By another
Allegedly.
yeah.
That's some allegedly.
You mentioned earlier
Sorry.
the shooter had initially shot one of the guards, then leaned over as they were
Shot him again.
Shot again.
Yep.
How many shots are we?
Well, the specific number, look, he had a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. Okay, so I believe that's a six-shooter. Yeah. So, that kind of tells us how many shots he had. Yes.
Judge, you mentioned you've been here before because you have. It was May when we were last.
Yeah.
I want to ask if you could please comment to, obviously, we understand you're saying it's under the Biden administration, and the words are that it's a failed withdrawal, and what happened there. There are people who are also upset with the president, believing that the National Guard members should not even have been there if it were not for the executive order.
I don't even want to talk about whether they should have been there. We ought to kiss the ground and thank God that the president said it's time to bring in more law enforcement to make sure that a city that had the fourth highest homicide rate in the country was that violence was quelled. I'm not even going to go there.
A question for Director Patel. Was the suspect granted asylum, and if so, when did that happen, under which administration, and did authorities miss any signs, either in the asylum process or even back when before he worked for the CIA? If you could talk about that.
Well, you miss all the signs when you do absolutely zero vetting. And that's exactly what happened in this case. When you, in the prior administration, made the decision to allow thousands of people into this country without doing a single piece of background checking or vetting, that's how you miss every single sign. And Secretary Kristi Noem has put out details specifically related to your other questions, so I'll let that speak for themselves.
If there was granted asylum, if you could just clarify that timeline.
Yes, I believe Kristi Noem put that out, and that's a DHS matter, and I'll refer it to them.
You elaborate on the investigative steps that were taken in
Sure.
San Diego. You mentioned Bellingham, Washington,
Sure.
where you live, but could you explain the San Diego connection?
So what happened was, thanks to the quick investigation by the interagency and the FBI, we were able to track down his last known residence, working with the United States Attorney's offices here and at the Department of Justice and prosecutors across the country. We were able to serve search warrants literally overnight and through the night.
All night.
And we were able to hit the house in Washington State. During that process, we
An act of
seized
terror.
numerous
That's
electronic devices, to include cell phones, laptops, iPads, and other material that is being analyzed as we speak. Pursuant to that investigation and any known associates of the subject and of that house is how we ended up in San Diego, where interviews were conducted and are going to be continued to be conducted. And we will go anywhere in the country or the world where the evidence leads us.
Hey chat, double tap the screen, shut a live out. We're 25 subscribers away from the next sub goal, man. We go live every single day over here talking politics, current events, and entertainment, man. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're around your family right now, be like, hey, look at this channel, you know. We do have a Discord. Miles, drop the Discord.
All of that is an ongoing investigation.
Give an update as far as Sarah and Andrew, who were injured. You said critical condition. Can you give anything beyond that? Are they expected to make it? Is it touch and go? Can you tell us a little more about how they're doing?
It is Sarah from Beckstrom, and Andrew Wolfe with an E, Wolfe. Okay, and Sarah Beckstrom, S with an H. Now, with respect to their medical condition, as I said, they are receiving the finest medical care. Their families are with them now. They are critical. I think you understand the meaning of that. It's not clear, how this is going to end up. But let me be perfectly clear about how it will end up in this office. If one of them is to pass, and God forbid that happens, this is a murder one, period, end of the story. We are praying on a day like today when families come together in America and they hold hands around the Thanksgiving table. I beg you, I beseech you to pray for these two young people, that they survive. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Radical Islamist Afghan terrorist.
Yeah, we're not going there.
Do you have
We're not going there.
information on how he might have gotten that?
No. Thank you.
All right, Chad, that's the end of that, man. That's the end of that press conference. Where is my camera? Why is my camera out? What the hell is going on? All right, Chad, we finna get into the, hold on. They're saying that this Trump's response to what's going on.
An act of terror. That's what the president is calling an assault on two National Guardsmen in the nation's capital. So the two soldiers remain in critical condition this morning after police say they were both shot at point-blank range, just blocks away from the White House.
Saw one National Guardsman being wheeled out on a stretcher, and he had a device helping pump his heart, it looked like, doing automatic CPR, and his face was covered in blood.
The 29-year-old suspect was tackled at the scene after a brief exchange of gunfire. Law enforcement say he came to the U.S. from Afghanistan about 4 years ago. In response, the president vows to crack down on immigration even further.
We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. Now, re-examine every single alien who entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden. Must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. Can't love our country, we don't want them.
We've got CNN senior White House reporter Betsy Klein here now. Betsy, we heard the president basically condemning this as an act of terror, but also expanding his concerns to immigration more broadly. I think he brought up Somalia at one point. Can you talk?
Happy Turkey Day to everybody, man. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day, great time, man. We are covering the 2 National Guardsmen that have been shot. They're in critical condition. Be sure to double tap the screen, shut a live out. We are 25 subscribers away from the next sub goal, and we are still chasing 100 likes, man.
About what the plans are out of the White House.
Right, Audie, just a really horrific day here in Washington, and the Department of Homeland Security has identified Ramanola Lakanwal as the suspect in the shooting of these 2 National Guardsmen. Lakanwal is an Afghan national. He came to the United States in 2021 under Operation Allies Welcome. To remind you, that's the Biden-era program that resettled those Afghan nationals in the wake of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. He applied for asylum in 2024, and it was granted by the Trump administration in April of this year. He is in custody at an area hospital after being shot. Now, one source tells CNN that this suspect is not cooperating with investigators. We still do not know the motive. We do not know how the suspect got this handgun that he used. We also do not know the full extent of the suspect's injuries at this time. But we do expect to hear more on where this investigation stands from D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, as well as FBI Director Kash Patel a little later this morning. President Trump, meanwhile, addressing the nation from Mar-a-Lago last night, he cast blame on the Biden administration for letting the suspect into the country. He called for the re-examination of every person who entered the U.S. from Afghanistan during the last administration. Of course, CNN had reported earlier this week that that process was already underway. Listen to the president.
The suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021. This attack underscores the single greatest national security threat facing our nation. The administration let in 20 million unknown and unvetted foreigners from all over the world, from places that you don't want to even know about.
Now, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services have announced moments later that all Afghan immigrant cases are stopping indefinitely pending further review. And I also just want to remind you why these West Virginia Guardsmen were here. They have been deployed in Washington since August as part of the president's crime crackdown. That is expected to continue until at least February. President Trump also announced he would be deploying 500 more National Guards members to Washington, D.C. in response to this horrific shooting.
Okay, Betsy, thanks so much for that update. I'm going to turn a little bit to the investigation. The FBI is going to be spearheading it, and it's being called an attack on federal law enforcement. So we've got CNN law enforcement analyst Jonathan Wackrow here now to talk about how this will unfold. Jonathan, thanks for being here with us this morning. I want to start with what they're going to be looking for from the suspect. As we mentioned, they're an Afghan national, believed to have come in under one of the various asylum programs, which did include vetting. So there's documentation, right, to go and look and learn about this suspect.
Yes. Good morning, Audie. Yes, the suspect came to the United States in 21, and that's the starting point for investigators, right? Like understanding, what happened during that vetting process, how detailed, and what was the rigor of the information that they were reviewing at that time. But just the fact that he came in under the U.S. seeking U.S. asylum in 21, it's a relevant fact, but it's actually not the motive. And right now, what investigators are trying to do is actually ask a couple key questions. Most notably, was this a symbolic targeting of the military or some sort of anti-government movement, or was this just rooted in some type of personal grievance? And the way that they're going to do that is the same way that they take any type of shooting situation, is they work backwards. They start looking at all known associates, family members. They start doing a digital trace and looking, combing through the digital exhaust of this individual. Was he connected to other people who had or exhibited animus towards, the United States? Was this part
Say
of
you
some
making
sort of
cornbread
ideological-
dressing right now, DT? All right, DT, cornbread dressing. It's gonna be a little sweet. Okay.
movement. Again, that's where we may see a nexus to terrorism. We have not seen that yet, and we have not intimated that that is the case, but that is what investigators are looking for. And they're going to look through this link analysis of these associates and contacts to really piece together this mosaic of data to come to a determination of what is the motive. Now, we know that the suspect is not cooperating, but there are a lot of investigative tools and techniques that are at the FBI's disposal to get to, directly what that motive may be.
The Trump administration now ordering another 500 National Guardsmen into the city. One thing we've been looking at today is that in the legal challenge process, there was a National Guard memo that had revealed some concerns about the deployment that commanders originally had, where they were based.
I mean, it's kind of like you can say that. You said, Howard says, don't dare pass this horrible thing on the Trump admin. Wake up, people. It's both admins, man. Biden let this guy in, and Trump granted him, well, his Trump's administration, he was in office when he was granted asylum. Matter of fact, if we want to be technical, the guy didn't even apply for asylum until Trump won presidency. If you want to be real, he didn't apply to December 2024. Trump won in November. You know, if we want to be real, Trump won in November. He didn't come in until January. This guy applied in December. So, and then he was granted it. A lot of other people weren't granted asylum. You know what I'm saying? A lot of regular people that applied for asylum that came in through that Biden open border didn't get asylum, But this guy got asylum probably because he worked on that task force. I told you guys, we started off the show talking about it. I was telling y'all, this guy right here, served in the CIA-backed Kandahar strike force, allegedly, an elite black ops unit conducting assassinations and raids along the U.S. Special Forces. So listen, it says that this is what they did. 200 to 300 fighters at peak strength. The KSF was handpicked from the local Pashtun militias and trained by CIA paramilitary officers and U.S. Green Berets at bases like Camp Nathan Hale and Kandahar. Members received advanced instructions in small unit tactics, surveillance, and improvised explosive disposal. They operated under nominal NDS oversight but reported directly to CIA case officers, allowing for plausible deniability and controversial actions. So allegedly that's what's going on. So that would, that's what got him here. That's what got him that asylum. He came in as he actually earned commendations. They said they was giving him praise for his service efforts alongside U.S. troops. So I'm pretty sure that's why Trump administration granted him the asylum. Pretty sure that's why Biden administration, quote unquote, let him in. This guy probably would have slipped through the cracks, even if it was a proper vetting process. This guy probably...
2 National Guard members were shot today, November 26th.
This guy probably would have slipped through the cracks anyway.
This mission is kind of an opportunity for criminals or violent extremists or lone actors to advance their interests. They were saying that the guardsmen themselves are sort of high visible and potential targets. Can you talk about that from a law enforcement perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I had mentioned this yesterday in the aftermath of the tragic incident, but right now we've seen a shift. And what I said is that, I believe that we've hit the point of marginal utility, especially in Washington, D.C., with the benefit of the National Guard. And what I mean by that is they are on site to provide a visual deterrent, to show that visible force of surging law enforcement within the National Capital Region. But now it has shifted. We've heard from government officials say that these guardsmen were targeted directly. If that is the case, adding 500 more to the area just increases the potential targeting of these National Guard members. Now, you do have to address this crime and broader criminal acts throughout the area. I'd rather see more law enforcement than more soldiers put at risk in a mission that may be a little bit undefined for them.
Okay, John.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, Chad. All right, we finna move on. I got this last one clip right here, and then we're gonna move on in the show. I got this clip right here. Be sure to double tap the screen, shut a live out. We are 25 subscribers away from the next sub goal. We go live every single day over here talking politics, entertainment, and current events, man. All right, let's put up this clip. This is the guy who said he did the Google searches and seen this guy's name popping up hours before. Last time they did this with the Charlie Kirk assassination, and then they went and wiped the Google searches.
Today, November 26, 2025, and what they're calling an ambush-style attack just blocks from the White House in Washington, D.C. Now, the suspect, they tell us, is a 29-year-old Afghan national named Ramanullah Lakhanwal. Police are saying he was a quote-unquote lone gunman who ambushed the National Guard. Now here is where things get weird. Just a few minutes ago, I went on Google Trends to do a little research, and it looks like on November 20th, 2025, which is 6 days prior to the attack, there was a very small but noticeable spike in searches for one Ramanullah Lakhanwal originating from the DC area. I then zoomed in to see what the search activity was for just this past day, and wow, would you look at that, a massive spike in searches for Lakhanwal in the wee hours of November 26, 2025, the day of the attack. A spike that dwarfs
Thank
the
you,
number of
No B.
searches for Lakhanwal even after
What it do?
the shooting broke later that afternoon. This is all very strange, right? Why would people have been searching for Lakhanwal's name a week prior to the attack? Not only that, a massive spike in the wee hours of the morning, the day of the attack. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, the other bit of context that I'll add is that on November 20th, 2025, which is the same day Lakhanwal's name shows up for the first time in Google searches, a judge ordered an end to Trump's troop deployment in D.C., calling it unlawful. Now, could all this somehow be related? You let me know.
All right, chat, man. We finna move on away from the DC shoot. As more details emerge, we'll be looking at that situation closely, man. I wanted to bring y'all this clip of Byron Donalds, man, and Jasmine Crocker. We know Donalds is supposed to be the next governor of Florida. He's slated to be the next governor of Florida by all estimations. I think he's raised like, what, 30, 40 million already for his campaign?
22, the D.C. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong support of my bill, H.R. 4922, the D.C. Crimes Act. It moves the ability of judges to sentence youth offenders below mandatory minimum guidelines and requires the D.C. Attorney General to establish a public website containing much needed statistics on juvenile crime in D.C. Administration's efforts have shown that lawlessness is a choice, and it is time for Congress to step up, adhere to our constitutional duty, and firmly address crime in the nation.
Accountability, avoidance, agility from across the aisle. So work with me for a second. Imagine being a young man born to Jamaican and Panamanian parents who messed up not once but twice. Imagine standing in front of a judge with
I'm gonna hold my comment.
with your whole future hanging in the balance, and instead of prison, you are given a promise of mercy. Your record gets wiped clean. You get a second chance at life. Now imagine taking that promise and turning it into promotion. You go to college, you get a job, and even become a member of Congress. That's what redemption looks like. That's what America is supposed to be about. And that is exactly the story of the next wannabe governor from Florida. As a young man, he went through pretrial diversion for misdemeanor marijuana possession. As an adult, yet younger than 24, he was charged with and ultimately placed on probation for felony robbery charges, which ultimately were 2 expunged. He was given a 3rd chance, and now he's the face of a bill that would not afford young people in Washington, D.C. the same opportunities afforded to him. Let me be real. If he had grown up under Donald Trump's America or under the very D.C. crime bill he's pushing today, he wouldn't be standing here as a member of Congress.
Damn, man. Jasmine Crockett came at Byron Donalds on this, said he's being a hypocrite, man. Do y'all think Byron Donalds is being a hypocrite right now, man? All right, chat, we finna get into a couple miscellaneous clips. Then we're going to get into that Nick Shirley interview, man. He interviewed an escaped person from North Korea, somebody from North Korea who lived there, I believe grew up there, and escaped. All right, this was going on at Costco.
You're going quick.
Here at Costco, let's see if they have any turkeys on the day before Thanksgiving.
The chickens are going quick. Look at her. She got 15. Whoa. Anybody want ribs?
More? Nobody for the people who were standing here already? Okay, great.
Guard they way up there. No, you're not sorry. It's okay. You're not sorry. It's all good. No, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You're not sorry. It's all good. She damn sure was sorry. It wasn't no shame in her gang. She put like 15 chicken rotisseries in that bad boy, man. She put 15. She said, you know what? I don't care who in line. I don't care who wait, man. I need them, man. 15 rotisseries, man. They're going to be pissed off seeing all them rotisseries at that Thanksgiving table. Somebody going to want some ham, some turkey. All right, chat. This is the line for honey baked ham. Now I'm gonna tell y'all my story on honey baked ham, man. I had a little thing, man. Honey baked ham had did a promotion. I remember this was like 2023. Honey baked ham had done a little promotion, man, where they'd had like $7 hams and turkeys and shit, man. And I had got 2 of them. You know what I'm saying? I got 2 of them. They told me to come pick it up. So I'm going over there to get my, you know what I'm saying, $14, you know what I'm saying. It was supposed to be like $300-400, I ain't gonna lie. But I have spent like the 14 to get them, you know what I'm saying. So I go over there, man. Now, mind you, it's like a 35-minute drive, 40-minute drive. So I'm sliding over there to get them, man. You know they canceled my order. Canceled him. Hurt the baby, man. I'm damn near there and they canceled on me, man. Hurt the baby. Thank you, Nobi.
Coming through.
Thank you, Nobi. What do you mean honey baked hams are 3 years old? They're aged? I mean, shit, they might be. I don't know. I ain't never had one. This honey baked ham. No, I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
All right.
Come on.
You can see it. They give you the bone.
Them folks want that ham.
Sorry.
Thank you, No B. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Honey baked ham ain't bullshitting.
Hey, for 1 second, I just want to get some quick video here.
Listen, they said that was all people who pre-ordered. So if you pre-ordered your honey baked ham, you had to wait. If you had cash, they said they let you go in. This said the people who showed up with cash got served quicker than scooped up all the side orders. So people with the pre-orders did not get what they paid for. So the people with the pre-orders, they ran out of sides, man, straight up. People with the pre-orders ran out of sides because they was waiting in line. It was probably a pre-order line and a cash line, and they let the cash line come on up and handle their business, and the pre-order line was backed up. That's crazy. I would have been a little pissed off. I ain't even gonna say a little bit. I would have been pissed off. All right, chat, we finna get into this Nick Shirley, man. Where is this Nick Shirley at? Finna get into the Nick Shirley, man. Dang.
The young people really don't know how tyranny comes to them in America. Usually, tyranny comes in the name of compassion and equality. They come and make these sweet, sweet promises of paradise. They created the biggest concentration camp in human history. The whole country became a concentration camp. Nobody is allowed to leave North Korea. North Koreans don't know they are enslaved by a dictator. So if you don't know you're a slave, how do you fight to be free?
And how much of a risk do you think North Korea actually is to the United States of America?
Well, their eventual goal is destroying America and destroying capitalist societies.
What fears you most about fleeing socialism and seeing it?
I never ate boarhead. I'm from the country, man. We eat hog, we eat pig. I never ate boarhead. Now, if we talking about like some wild hog or something, I've never ate boarhead. You know what I'm saying? I have.
Coming back here into
Thank you, Grapeseed.
This is an interview between me and Yeonmi Park. She's one of the few people to ever escape North Korea and live to tell the tale about what life was like inside of North Korea and what life was like inside of a socialist government, inside of a socialist society. And now with the rise of socialism and ideas like socialism and communism becoming more popular and more prevalent inside of our societies here in America and across the West, I wanted to bring her on and explain exactly what life was like for her living inside of North Korea, and to explain how it was for her to escape the tragedies she faced living inside North Korea and the struggle she faced once she made it into China and eventually into the United States. And now, with threats on my life and it being more dangerous for me to go out and about to make my normal...
Oh, we call it hoghead cheese. That's what we call it. We don't call it boars nothing. We call it hoghead cheese. Yeah, that's what we call it, man. Grapeseed, hoghead cheese.
Videos. I want to do one of these kind of long-form interview podcast style videos at least once a month to go more in depth on subjects that are so critically important right now here inside of the world we are currently living in. And I highly encourage you guys to share this video, give it a like, more than anything, share it with others, and create thought-provoking conversations with the people that surround you. And now, let's get into the interview. How old were you when you decided to escape North Korea?
I was 13 years old, and I don't think I had an option. I was just starving, so.
When you decided to do that, was there something that triggered you to flee North Korea, or was it an opportunity?
It was just mostly hunger, and luckily I was living in the border town. So unlike the North Koreans who live inside the country, I got to see China through my naked eyes. And Chinese eyes seemed like they had electricity. So that gave me a clue, maybe they had a better situation than we did. So maybe if I go where the lights were, I might be able to find a bowl of rice.
How did you know that there was life on the other side of North Korea?
So I was living in this city called Haesan, and we had like one yellow river between China and North Korea. So I could even actually smell the food coming from Chinese side. That's how close we were to China.
So you lived on a border town?
Mm-hmm.
And did you know anything else besides North Korea and China?
I heard like words like South Korea, but then they were colonized by American masters. That's what literary teacher taught us. I heard about Japanese imperialists, and then maybe Soviet Union. So I've never seen the map of the world until I escaped North Korea. So I just knew there are a few countries that were trying to attack North Korea, and we were protected by their leader.
And so when you're living in North Korea, you don't know anything else outside of South Korea, China, Soviet Union. And you know America existed.
Right, so North Korea has 51 different caste systems. And that determines your education level and who gets fed and who doesn't get starved, right? So I can never speak behalf of 25 million people because like people like Kim Jong-un, he literally went to Switzerland to be educated. So based on your caste system, they decide how much you get educated. My case, I barely graduated like first grade. So obviously I did not know anything about the world.
And when you look at the world now, how would you say your perspective has changed from when you were a little girl living in North Korea?
You mean the world broadly that I see right now? Oh, world is very complex. I guess that's why you learn more and more as you get older.
What was life like on the daily inside North Korea? What was life like for you inside of North Korea?
Yeah, so every you move is orchestrated by the government. So when we wake up, literally the people's unit call up every unit to participate in this collective labor. So even though you're 5 years old, 7 years old, have to be forced in this labor, the government's demands of you. So I start the day, usually go to the monuments to clean the dictator statues and like pull out any little kind of grass. And then the times when I was going to school, I would go to school. For a half day, we learn about the dictator's amazing achievements, like he's a godlike figure, right? And in the afternoons, we also have to work as a kid. So your full day is a labor in the afternoon, and you come home by the time it's 10 p.m. Then you sleep at 5 a.m. The life begins again from the collective work.
What would they tell you about? Was it Kim Jong-il?
At the time, it was Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. They literally actually copied the Bible, the Christian Bible. It said that Kim Il-sung was God, that he loved us so much. He gave us his son, Kim Jong-il. He knows even what we think in our head. And his body dies just like Jesus Christ, but his spirit is with us wherever we go. So when we die, we might join him in the paradise afterlife. So it's like complete, North Korea is one of 10 religions in the world because of that. That's how they brainwash Northern people to believe that they have even like power to read your thoughts.
And did you believe in that when you were in North Korea?
Yeah, I did. I completely believe. Even when I was escaping China, I was even afraid to think.
Wow, we're going to get into that story of how you escaped China, but I want to get into that a little bit more as far as they literally copied the Bible to try and brainwash the people in North Korea.
Yeah, so Kim Il-sung, he actually was born in a Christian family. His family members were devout Christians. But then when he became the communist leader, he thought, how about I become God instead? So he literally removed the God and put his name there and put his son's name, Kim Jong-il, into Jesus Christ's name. And then same doctrine, North Korea has 10 commandments, literally like the Bible. And every week, instead of the confession time, we have a self-criticism time where we have to repent our sin. We read the words that Kim Il-sung supposedly wrote and compare to that how we lived our life. And then not only we confess our sin and ask for forgiveness, in North Korea, you're forced to criticize somebody. If you're in school, your classmate. If you're in the workplace, your colleague. So that makes everybody have to watch out for someone's committing a crime. You're forced to criticize. That's why nobody trusts anybody in North Korea. Like you are not allowed to trust anybody.
So every day you were kind of like looking for somebody to critique or then to bring up their name when it came to time to confess that somebody had committed a sin?
Yeah, so for children, it's like once a week on Saturdays, we do these self-criticism sessions. But for people like artists or people who are in art, where the people's minds are more flexible, they need to do every 2 days. So entire week as a kid, you are looking for your classmate making a mistake because you are forced to find a fault in somebody else.
And then what happens to that classmate that made the mistake?
Depending on what I accuse them of. If I accuse them of that they said something horrible about the government, they're gonna get executed.
So would y'all rather have a society built on snitching, like even on the littlest thing? Would y'all rather have a society built on snitching, or would you just rather have a surveillance state? Because it's looking like it's going to be one or the other.
Or if I just said they were not paying attention during the class, they might like have to do extra like beating and something like that. But then it depending on accusation. So you have to do your best, not get caught with your misbehaving.
Did you ever tell on somebody that led to the execution of that person?
No, I think I literally had to just come up with this. They were not like working as hard. Even though the leader demanded us to work very hard, they were not. So they would have to say, okay, then I will do better next time, work even harder than before.
How many people do you know personally that died from the dictatorship or from the Kims?
I mean, during the Korean War that began with the Kim Il-sung invading the South in the 1950s, more than 5 million people died. So besides that, in the 90s when I was growing up as a toddler, there are more than 3 million people died from starvation. So it's more than, like, obviously 10 million by now that people died from this dictator.
You never hear about it anymore. I remember when Trump was first president, you heard a lot about the nukes and Kim Jong-un, but now it's like nobody hears anything about North Korea.
Yeah, I think in some sense people kind of accept that North Korea is so crazy. Like, right? It's like it's been going almost 80 years now. So nobody remembers time before North Korea was this kind of autocratic. So I think now they just accept that people are gonna starve to death, accept that people are gonna get executed for having an opinion.
When you were a child, you fled North Korea, you escaped when you were 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But what was your day-to-day like before that? You say you were starving.
Yeah.
What would you...
Oh, she was 13. She knew what the hell was going on. If she escaped at 13, she knew what was going on. I thought they said she escaped in first grade. I guess that's where her education ended. Her education ended in first grade, but she stayed there till she was 13.
Eating?
Anything I could find. Like, I remember one time when I was playing with my friends when I was a kid. Like, he was so much faster than me. I was a girl. He would catch a cockroach and then he pops his belly open. Inside the cockroach tummy there's something looks like brown rice thing comes out, and he would like put his mouth. So like we would eat, spiders, dragonflies, the fences.
She said she was eating spiders and dragonflies. Spiders and dragonflies for lunch. Survival is crazy, chat. Survival is crazy, chat. Dragonflies and spiders, bruh. That's what's on the menu. Dragonflies and spiders. Yeah, nah, man.
I've ever consumed was like grasshoppers. Grasshoppers were my
favorite. It was a damn delicacy. They had a little crunch and a burst in it, man. Like, what? No way. This is what the World Economic Forum wants from us, man. They want us to own nothing, be happy, eat bugs, man. Eat bugs, man. Cockroach milk and shit, man. She's over here talking about how delicious the grasshopper. Well, when you compare a grasshopper to a dragonfly or a spider, it's a little more meat on that grasshopper. They probably had some big grasshoppers. Some of them grasshoppers get about this big, man. A little crunch and a little burst or whatever inside, man. Crazy.
Favorite.
As a child, that was your favorite thing to eat was grasshoppers?
Yes.
And that was the fanciest protein you'd had?
Yeah, because I did not know what, fried chickens or steak. That was not a concept. In North Korea, we don't know what cookbook is. Because how do we come up with all those ingredients? No such a thing called like cookbook, right? I was so confused when I came to America. There's like sections of cookbooks, it's only luxury you can afford when you have those kind of ingredients to find. So for us, whatever the gruel that we can make that day, whatever the plants we gather, whatever the grain that we come up with, we just put them together and add a lot of water to make the portion bigger. So our stomach feels like fuller that day.
You would eat grains, grasshoppers, cockroaches?
Yeah, so like maybe corns, barleys, like a lot of plants we would eat. So, like I literally thought plants were like rabbit food, right? I did not know people here eating salad to stay healthy. But in North Korea, that was the only option we had. So a lot of plants.
Lots of plants.
Yeah.
And did you think there was a life outside of what you had been living in? Did you think the people on the other side of China, where you could see the lights from, did you think, oh, they were eating better than you, or did you have any idea that life could be better?
There were times that I got a glimpse of outside the world. Was when I watched these like DVDs came from South Korea. These bootleg DVDs through black market that reached North Korea. Some of the movies were made in America, like Titanic, Pretty Woman. Some other American movies like what's the 007 James Bond movies?
Yeah,
too?
James Bond.
Yeah, I think that really gave me a little bit of a clue. Maybe they are not might be so bad. But the government brainwash you so much. They say the outside world is like corrupt capitalist societies where children's organs are harvested out of them. Children are begging on the streets. Like we are so lucky we get to live in the socialist paradise. So there's no way of confirming what I saw on the side.
So meanwhile you're starving, but you still think you're privileged in a way.
We still think we have nothing to envy. That's a song that we were forced to sing every day in North Korea. It's called Nothing to Envy, because we live in a socialist paradise. Everything is perfect, and I actually believe that. And this is a weird part. A lot of people are asking, I mean, you had your brains, how would you believe that you are literally starving and there are dead bodies everywhere, right? But George Orwell wrote about this doublethink, the ability to have two contradicting thoughts at the same time. Like one, that you believe that you live in the best country in the universe, and second, you still know that you are starving. And still somehow humans are capable of believing in both at the same time.
And were you starving every single day?
So it's like I do think I had more food before my father arrested, because he was working at black market, and then he got caught when I was like 7 or 8. That's when really my life came down to bad place. But even when he was North Korean standard doing well, it wasn't like I was eating meat or fish. I was having some like maybe rice and then cabbage, pickled cabbage. And that was like the biggest privilege that North Koreans could afford.
Some cabbage and pickles?
Yeah.
Man, and when you come here to America, do you feel just like so blessed when you see somebody complaining about, oh, give me an extra scoop at Chipotle? Are you like, what are you complaining about?
So actually when I came to America, I did a missionary work. And we served the people who were in Georgia, Atlanta at the time. And we would go to homeless shelters and clean their bed. And I couldn't believe in the homeless shelter they had like full fridge with the sodas and food. And then I would like give them hot dogs. And they ask, what do you have? And they say no to it. Like I literally thought like the homeless people were like North Koreans are starving, about to die from starvation. And it was a very different thing. And the people who I served, who were like, who are marginalized groups, and they were like having big TV in their living room, and I couldn't believe it. Like these people have a refrigerator at home, and have a TV and have a sofa, and then they consider to be in a poverty class. Because in North Korea, even the top official would not have that kind of thing. You never have 24 hours electricity like that. It's a very different life standard, I think.
So the poor here in the United States would be the rich.
Richer than anybody. You can like, it's something that people can't even imagine it, that someone have that kind of luxury.
And did you have the electricity when you were in North Korea?
We would have a few times a year. So they would give electricity on the days of the dictator's birthdays, because they want us to learn about the government propaganda. And usually New Year's, because the government have a new party plan that year, so we have to memorize. So like we would get a few times when this important government holidays they provide us, but other times zero. No, we don't have any electricity.
Did you have candles, or like how would you light stuff up, or was it as soon as the sun would go down?
I mean, the times when we could afford were like little oil and then little threads. but then it makes so much smoke, like you look like you have a mustache. But then even that is so valuable. We need to turn it off after 5 in the winter time and go to sleep because it's so dark. So you might be able to afford it like 10 minutes here and there when you have to cook in the kitchen. But we just have to go to sleep very early because we can't afford lights.
You're living in this horrible condition in North Korea. Your life's miserable. You're seeing, you're starving, your family's starving, and then you get this opportunity to leave. How did that come about to escape North Korea? Because you've heard the stories of people who try to escape, and it sounds like they just get shot instantaneously. But how did you escape, and what was that like?
My sister and I wanted to actually escape together. My sister was at the time 16 years old. I was 13. I wasn't able to go with her because I was ill. But then when she left, she left me a note to go find a lady that would help me to cross the river. And this lady was helping us. She bribed the border guards so they would not shoot us. And then as soon as we crossed Yellow River, arrived in Chinese riverbank, we did learn why these people were helping us and not shooting us.
And how did she bribe them, and how did this lady have the connection?
She was a human trafficker, so she was making money out of us. She was selling us as sex slaves to Chinese men. And so they gave her the money, and then she used that money to bribe the border guards.
So you didn't pay anything to pay for to leave?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have the money. If I did, I would not have escaped, right? So.
Yeah, because I mean, for people to come into the United States to be smuggled across the border, they're paying the cartel.
Yeah, but then they don't get sold when they come to America, right?
Yeah.
But for us, we were being sold like puppies. Like, yeah, our rights and everything were stripped away from us. As soon as we get to China, we were getting raped.
Wow. And did you know that when you were crossing over? Did you have any idea?
Because in North Korea, think about it, we don't have internet and we don't have such a thing called the bad news. I mean, we are revolutionaries. We live in a socialist paradise. There's no such a thing called like things go wrong, right? So news is always happy news, fake news. So I did not know the term called human trafficking. I never knew how is it possible for a human to sell another. Like, and I'm not a chicken, like how is that possible? So I did not know that that was a thing. When I got to China, I learned that that was human trafficking.
What was the night like when you left?
It was very cold. I left in 2007 March, and end of March. It was freezing. So thankfully, because of that, the river was not frozen. Like it was still frozen. We were able to walk across the frozen river. We didn't have to be in the ice.
And who did you cross with?
With my mom, and then with a guy who was transferring us to.
Damn, she like my age. If she was 2000 in 2007, she was like 13. She's like close to my age.
Chinese worker, and she still didn't tell us that we were going to China to be sold.
And at what point did you realize that what you just did was to sell yourself or to be sold to traffickers?
Well, when we got to Chinese riverbank, the guy who was waiting for us, he brought something like this kind of carpet thing, and then he was ready to leave us. And the first thing he was saying, I want to have sex with her, was me. And I did not know what that was because we don't have the word in North Korea called sex. So, but somehow my mom knew what that meant, and she offered herself and she protected me. And that was my introduction to sex in China. And afterwards, they separated my mom and me and then sold us separately.
So the moment you get over to
yeah,
China.
It was as soon as we touched the ground of China, the first thing was that.
And this might be a stupid question, but is the language in China and North Korea the same?
No, Chinese speaks Mandarin and Korean speak Korean, but then these were Korean ethnic Chinese. So there were many long time ago, there were some Koreans living in the northern part, and that became China. So they were speaking ethnic Korean Chinese, but they were Chinese people.
So your mom sacrificed herself in that moment for you, and at that point you were 13 years old.
Yeah.
So you're obviously still a virgin, and you had no idea you didn't even know what the word sex was.
I did not know, because in North Korea, a lot of words like we have here, they don't exist. Like the word freedom or human rights. They don't have it because if you know the word, you understand the concept. So in order to control your thinking, governments have to control the language and words, right? So they eliminate these kind of words in our dictionary.
So you really had no idea that any of that world existed.
No.
And your mother, obviously, she had you, so she obviously knew what sex was.
I think she kind of assumed what he was doing, and then she just offered herself, and that's, yeah.
What was that moment like for you to be standing there as a 13-year-old, and people are negotiating your body, and then your mom comes in and says, no, don't do it, I'll go?
No, actually, so after they raped her, I do remember my mom asked me to turn around and cover your ears. I turned around, I closed my eyes, I covered my eyes, and then they took us to a safe house called like a house that where they will now start selling us, and then that's when they said I also had to be sold as a slave. And so they decided to sell my mom for $65, and they decided to sell me over $200 because I was a child virgin, and men love taking that away in China. So I got separated from my mom.
Where did your mom go?
I did not know at the time because,
$265, right? Sold this woman and her mama for $265. And think about what you can buy in America for $265 right now, man. Most people spend more than that on a Thanksgiving dinner today. Honest.
I was also sold separately, and eventually I did find her through the man who bought me. The man who bought me, I was not gonna give in. I was going to kill myself. And then he said, if I do give in and become his mistress, he said he was going to help me to save my family. So
you're then separated from your mom. You go with
another man who bought me. Was a Han Chinese man who didn't speak any Korean. And then he made me a deal. He offered me a deal that if I don't kill myself and obey him, he said he was going to help me to save my family.
And did he also rape you?
Of course he did. That was the price. So he raped me, and then he did help me to save my family.
And how long were you with him for?
More than a year. Yeah.
And what would you have to do with this man, like on a day-to-day basis? You wake up in the morning. What
he
is he?
would lock me up because he was a human trafficker.
He would lock you up?
So he was a human trafficker. He was buying these girls from, so there are many brokers, right? The guys who capture us from the border. And then they sell us to another broker in the inner China. And then this guy was the guy who bought me. And then he would be selling girls either to fake husbands.
And what's crazy is they end up in America, Chad. These girls end up in America like as in massage parlors and shit like that. A lot of girls say they respond to like casting calls and they end up getting trafficked through China and end eventually into the U.S. working in these massage parlors and shit. It's crazy.
The countryside, or to another broker would find them fake husband or sell them to brothels. So he was a second layer broker, and he had to go around and buy the girls and go take them to countryside and sell them. So a lot of times he would just lock me inside the apartment, and he would disappear for like 40 days, and I'd be isolated inside the room.
You gotta think. They just sold them over there for $265. They go to the massage parlor in America, man. They gonna crank out $265 in a few massages. You know what I'm saying? Couple 3 massages, they made that $265. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
I don't know. I didn't have a phone or calendar. I don't know how long I was in there, but he would like buy me food before he would go, and then I did not know how to ration it to myself because I don't know when is he coming back.
You'd be in self-isolation for months.
Yeah.
And what did you think in those times? What were some of the darkest moments?
I think that's when I realized I drained all my tears. Like, you can reach to a point as a human being where you don't have any more tears left. And I lost my faith in him.
I believe her. She just detached. She disassociated. She was gone. She was no longer here. She said she had no more tears left. Man, her and her mom got sold for $265. She was trafficked, graped here, graped there. Didn't know nothing. Language barrier. Just get out. Gosh.
Reality completely by that point. But they only thought that
This shit makes me, listening to this makes me blessed, man. Like, I mean, damn, I grew up in Arkansas, Chat, and I'm blessed to say that, man, watching this shit.
let me keep going was in the hope of finding my family.
Alright guys, quick break. This message is sponsored by Raycon. Say that you had ran out of tears.
Yeah.
When you were crying, what were you thinking in those moments?
I thought North Korea was very bad, right? I had nothing to eat. Literally, hunger is the most devastating thing when you go through starvation. But now I came to China. I might get some food, but all the meaning in life disappeared. I was not even free to go to the bathroom on my own. So, I just literally realized.
So she's saying being trafficked was actually a step up. Like, she lost all her freedoms, but she wasn't facing imminent starvation. She was no longer eating grasshoppers, cockroaches, and wet grain. She was eating grasshoppers, cockroaches, wet grain, and dragonflies in North Korea. She said cabbage and pickles was a luxury. And they had no electricity only 2 times a year. Twice a year they got electricity. So she get to China, all her freedoms are gone, but she's not facing immediate starvation.
The North Korea and China was what was the whole world was. I thought China would be a better place, and I didn't expect it to be so bad.
And so you, at that point, did you think, like, why did I even leave North Korea?
No, because if I didn't leave, I would be dead by then. I would not survive. I was starving, and you can't survive when you don't eat. So it was still, China was in some sense better than North Korea because at least kept me alive through, food.
Gave her
but
a
North
chance.
Korea, that was not
That's
even.
what she's saying. Like, going to China and being trafficked gave her a chance at survival. Like, yeah, she detached emotionally. Her mental health was probably gone. She probably has a lot of, trauma to deal with, but she's alive. In North Korea, she would have starved to death. She's saying, like, since she's left, she's saying maybe 10 million people have starved to death.
Even guaranteed.
And who are these men? You say they were farmers, and why do these farmers need women?
Yeah, so this is interesting, very good question. There are, Chinese government had a one-child policy under Communist Party because they thought they had too much population and they thought that was a bad thing. So they limited people to have only 1 babies. And a lot of people kept the boys and killed the girls. So now these people grew up, became adults, and there are not enough women to go.
So do y'all think, you said it's not enough. Oh, she talking about China.
So with that one-child policy, whether the government knew it or not, there was more women being born than men.
No, people would abort if they realized they had a girls. Or if the girl would born, they would flip her and kill her until she dies. And people only want to keep the boys, right? So in China, I think a lot of people who grew up in the Christian values, they believe that life is intrinsically valuable. But in the communist world, life is not something that dignified thing. Mm-hmm. So Chinese government would punish people if they had more than 1 kid. So because of that, if you gave birth to a girl, a lot of them just killed their own babies and then keep trying until they had boys. And if they had 1 boy and that was it, they get the IUD or they get the forced sterilization, and government would not allow them to have any more children. So this resulted in lacking of women, lacking of girls, because they killed too many girls by then.
So people started aborting the women,
Yeah.
the girls inside the wombs of Chinese
Yeah.
females, and then that led to a decrease in women
Yeah.
and more men, and then they brought in people like you that were trafficked
Yeah.
because some of these men could not get women.
Yeah, so there are right now currently 33 million men can't find wives in China. And that's a lot of men, and that number gonna keep growing, right? So China's Communist Party thought, well, we don't want these young men who can't even find a wife start revolution. We gotta appease them somehow. And
They finna get the playing around, man. You got all them men over there, man. You ain't got no women, man. They finna get the playing around, man. That's what they finna get the playing around.
that is by allowing state-sponsored human trafficking. That's how they allow North Korean girls to be sold like sex slaves in China.
So China knows that there's lots of women being
Also,
trafficked,
to know that, yeah, there are more than 300,000 of them right now.
and they don't do anything to stop it.
They themselves, rape these women. These officials, they themselves raping, buying these girls on the side.
And how often were you being raped?
So I was, in some sense, I was lucky. I was not sold to another farmer or to a brothel, right? Because that's usually where we end up, like in the countryside where the man has a disability. They might be mentally not well or physically not well. So that's why they cannot find normal Chinese women, right? So families would be paying money and then buy the girl, and then maybe the uncles and fathers and brothers go around and rape her. Or to brothels where you get 100 times a day. But the man who bought me, he realized that I was virgin and he wanted to keep me for himself. So I wasn't ever exposed to so many other people, like most of North Korean women are. And he eventually fell in love with me. He really loved me, and that's why he let me go at the end. So that's the thing, the complication of being a human, right? This monster that would abuse me and eventually found his humanity and would look at me as a human being and would let me go.
Wow, so he fell in love with you.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any feeling towards him, or did you have a deep hatred towards him?
Initially, I fantasized him killing this man every second I saw him. I wanted to kill him so much. But I realized he was also a victim. He grew up in a communist society where he did not learn how to treat a human being.
That's a lot of damn empathy. See, she got a lot of empathy talking about I had to realize that he didn't know no better. That's what she was trying to say. I had to realize that he didn't know no better. She has a lot of empathy. I'm going to say that.
And also he was joined the gang as an elementary school child. And he was also victim of the society, of this communist system. And that's how he behaved. So I forgave him, and I actually even helped him when I came to America.
Really? Do you still keep in contact with him?
We found him, because my mom and I found him, and then I want to thank him.
Oh, she got her mom over here too?
How
did she get her mom over here?
But then I did not want to stay in touch afterwards, because I felt like I did my portion of giving back.
And now here in the United States, you're seeing kind of this rise of communism, of socialism.
What up, Rachel?
Yeah.
Here in New York City, they just elected a Democrat socialist who himself has said, well, if landlords don't take care of people's rents, we're going to go in, or their apartments, we're going to go in and we're going to take over that apartment.
Yeah.
You lived in a socialist society. What would be your warning to people who advocate for socialism or who advocate for the revolutionary communist party here inside the United States? What's your warning to those people who think, oh, maybe socialism would be good?
Yeah, I think it's, keep thinking about it. I voted this election this time, and obviously, Mandana.
How the hell is she voting?
I can't believe my fate that somehow I'm keep running towards socialist government systems.
How the hell is she voting? How the hell is she voting? Chat, how the fuck is she voting? She just told us she from North Korea. Oh my God, I know how she's voting. I was just being dramatic, bro. Like, this is crazy, though.
Right, okay. The young people really don't know how tyranny comes to them in America. They somehow tyranny comes with like a dark suit and guns and gonna come and tell them, I'm gonna enslave you. Usually, tyranny comes in the name of compassion and equality. They come and make these sweet, sweet promises of paradise. Like, that's how North Korean regime began. The Kim Il-sung came to my grandmothers and said, look at the capitalists, they are so rich, and look at the peasants. Their children can't even get educated, and they cannot even be treated in the hospital. How about I create a society where everybody gets a free society, free education, free healthcare, free housing, free food. And then we get rid of inequality because this is evil. And why would you not want that? It sounds so fantastic, right? Everybody lives life with dignity. Nobody suffers from poor health. And people wanted that. So my grandmothers gave up their private property. They gave up freedom of speech. They gave up freedom of movement. They gave up all their rights to live in this paradise. But we know that when government took all their rights away from people, they did not create a paradise. They created the biggest concentration camp in human history. The whole country became a concentration camp. Nobody is allowed to leave North Korea. Nobody allowed to enter even right now, right? So Mandani exactly promised the same thing that Kim Il-sung promised to my grandmother generation, saying it's evil, there are billionaires, and there are people who are poor, can't even afford the rent. Why don't I come in and make all like free for you guys? And nothing is free in the world. Nothing is free. And this entitlement generation, these young people that I see in New York, who are so unbelievably entitled, they somehow think they deserve free buses. And like, why do you think you need to get that for free? So we have a huge issue because American education system have failed teaching these people about tyranny.
This new excitement for socialism, you see it from these people at these colleges. You see it from the people that are being educated at schools like NYU, these Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
And you're seeing what should be the smartest people become indoctrinated to the level where they think everybody deserves everything.
Yeah.
For free, essentially.
Yeah.
Whether it be free buses or whether they should be able to stabilize rents or just ability to make X amount of money that rich people shouldn't exist, that they should be taxed more, which they already are taxed more than people who make less money than the rich.
Yeah.
Why do you think inside of these universities and whatnot, you're seeing this indoctrination at levels that's never been seen before here in the United States?
I wouldn't say it's like the issues of the overeducation. The issues, I myself, I went to Columbia University in New York, and I found something that I wasn't expect to see in this, the capital in a city of the world, right? In New York City, professors will be anti-West, anti-freedom, anti-American, anti-free market, Marxists will be teaching these kids. But then I also saw these kids were already radicalized in their high school or like before they got to even college. So I think the American education system itself took over by the Marxist teachers, and that's why we are seeing these bright young people.
Man, I'm trying to think, Chet. Like, when I went to school, like, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure we had some liberal teachers, but they really didn't say too much. Like, it was kind of like, I don't know, politics wasn't, Obama won, you know what I'm saying, but it wasn't like, I don't know, in my high school, it just wasn't that really prevalent. I mean, I'm from the South, so of course it was the LGBTQ really wasn't a big thing when I was in school. Like, it was just now starting to crack off, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I didn't see that in my school.
Or wanting something like Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea had, and think somehow this time will be different. It is, I will never know why American people allow this happen to this far, because but it seems like it's not just colleges, Ivy League schools that's an issue. It seems like from the public school times, or everybody get brainwashed by the time when they're like going to college.
What fears you most about fleeing socialism and seeing it coming back here into the United States?
Well, the history repeating itself. it's unbelievable. But I do have more hope for America because at least in America they have Second Amendment. People can have arms. I think if the governments will take that away from people, we will never be like no longer different than China or North Korea. Cause
In North Korea, do you guys have any way of going against the government?
no, because there are no guns. And when in North Korea, when one person commits a crime, they punish anybody that's related to that person. It's guilt by association. So if when one person says something that is not for the government, they come for 3 to 8 generations. But when that happens, if you have the guns, would you not fight? Right? I mean, you're gonna all get killed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the first thing that the dictators did was getting rid of the arms from the people.
3 to
But as
8
long as America
generations.
has different states and people have
Shit.
ability to protect themselves, I don't think we can ever reach the North Korean level of tyranny in America, even if we evolve socialism.
Yeah, what's so interesting about what's happening in the United States right now is obviously Trump's president, but you're seeing how much limited power he has when he wants to go and do something inside of a certain state,
Yeah.
and then all the state says no, or
Yeah.
say he wants to come to New York City and deport illegal migrants.
Yeah,
People freak out
yeah,
because they have to go through all these different ways of going through the state with the federal government and whatnot.
Yeah.
That people are realizing, like, well, Mandami here,
Yeah.
he's a Democrat socialist.
Mhm.
He doesn't believe anybody should be deported.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to comply with ICE or anything.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, you have a president who got elected by the majority of people here in the United States who said that he was going to deport illegal migrants here in the United States.
yeah,
But you have somebody like Zoran Mandami, who's the Democrat socialist, and he's saying, no, we're not going to do this, and we're actually going to do all this stuff to make it even harder. And if he wants to come through me, he's going to have to go through all of New York City, right? And
which I'm not part of. I don't support him at all,
but so many of these young people are,
yeah,
and they've kind of forgotten the life of how America got great, or they've
Yeah.
forgotten how America got great, and
Yeah.
that was from strict laws and from the border and from vetting immigration, not just letting anybody come into the United States. But this idea of socialism and communism, just everyone's equal, that we should follow this and that, it's kind of destroying a lot of these big cities here in the United States, and it's destroying corrupting the minds of individuals,
yeah.
which is frightening, I think.
I think it's like a moment for us to be all like taking a responsibility of why the country became this way. I think, so one thing that I always like made me shocked was that by these liberals say, you know, the poor people, always the poor people, they deserve that, they deserve this, right? And then always demonizing rich people. If being poor is not a bad thing, why being rich is a bad thing? Like we don't ever say you are so late, that's why you're poor. We don't do that. We have compassion for them. But when people who work so hard and become rich, we demonize them. And just morally, it's just not acceptable when we do that as a society. It's not a crime to be rich. And now it is under socialist system. It's a crime to be high functioning, innovating individual, right? They punish you for your hard work and discipline. So that's why like communism is so immoral in my stance. I can never accept such a vile ideology. But other than that, I think we also responsible for not educating our children right. All these kids raised by their parents, and I do wonder what their parents did with their children's education. Maybe they were so obsessed with what kind of college they get into. They didn't understand the values that these people were upholding. So it is a time for all of us to look back. I mean, I'm a mom now. I do know I have an immense responsibility to raise my son, not just sending him to good college, but like him to understand the world properly. So I think a lot of people just failed at educating their kids better.
Yeah.
And now we are seeing these young people think they know everything. They literally think they know everything without paying tax even one time in their life. Can you just imagine this idiocy, right? These people think they know everything about the world without even like running a household once in their lifetime.
Yeah, because a lot of these kids, especially at these college universities, most of them, if they paid taxes, one, it's very little,
Yeah.
and two, the money they're living off right now is from loans.
Yeah.
So they're kind of living off some unlimited.
Or their parents.
Or their parents a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
And so people don't understand like how hard it is to go make X amount of dollars to be able to afford to pay for, I don't know, say like a rich person's apartment here in New York City, $10,000 a month. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they've never made $10,000 in their month,
Yeah.
right? So these people are just like getting so angry about stuff that they've never even had to go out and do by themselves because one, they're either on a loan or they're on their parents' bank account.
Yeah, I think socialism is just like in the religion of envy, right? Oh, they're a billionaire, they're in a private jet. That's why my life sucks now. I can't afford this. And also this ideology destruction. Oh, because I can't afford all of this, let's make all of us poor instead, right? Because I don't want to see anybody doing better than me. So how about we all poor and starve and just suffer equally? And it is such a vile idea that I think that we should do a better job educating our next generation. And there are so many people learning about World War II or Hitler or anything, but they don't learn about the horrors of communism. They don't understand there are more than 130 million human beings perished in the 20th century because of socialism. And they think somehow it was not implemented correctly. That is the only thing they can come up with. And oftentimes they keep asking me, what about the Nordic countries like Denmark, Norway, Sweden? They have socialism. Like, no, they have free market system with a lot of welfare. It's not socialism. Government does not control the means of production. And it's like...
All right, Chad. We coming up on 2 hours, man. I'm finna open up the phone lines. Anybody want to call in before we get to the 2 hours, man? We'll try to come back later for a stream sometime later today. Can't guarantee that, but we're going to try to come back later for a stream. But the phone lines are open, man. If y'all want to call in, man, say happy Thanksgiving, let me know your thoughts and opinions. She didn't finish 3rd grade there, but she said she went to university here. She went to Columbia University in America. Yeah. What she did was she thrived for knowledge when she got out. Yeah. All right, chat. Well, we finna get up out of here, man. Y'all be sure to double tap the screen, share the live out, man. Trying to think. We are still 25 subscribers away from the next sub goal. 25 subscribers away from the next sub goal. If you caught this episode at the end of it, be sure to go watch the playback. We'll talk about the G20. We didn't get into that G20. I really wanted to talk about Trump snubbing the G20. He didn't show up. Vance didn't show up. What's the guy from Argentina? Malay didn't show up. Mexico's president didn't show up. Xi didn't show up. Putin didn't show up because he says he has an ICC warrant. Yeah, I wanted to get into that because y'all know we have the G20 slated for Miami next year. And that'll be a good show, something good to talk about. But I don't want to attach it to the tail end of this show. So we'll just save that for the next episode, man. All right, chat. I'll see y'all on the next one.